Another show here at the Life School Masterclass show. I'm here with you with another amazing guest and conversation. And today we're going to talk about a topic near and dear to my heart. It feels like every topic to me, I'm such a life student. Every topic, there's so much to learn and there's so much to inhale from other people's wisdom and experience. And today we're going to talk about generational wealth with Derek Dombeck. He does this work in the world, and this is obviously his legacy and the way that he's able to create impact. So without further ado, I'd like to thank Derek from tuning in wherever you're connecting from, Derek. And thanks so much for your time. And I thank you ahead of time for the mission and the work that you're out there really creating an impact with.
Well, it's my pleasure, and thanks for having me on. I hope I can shed a little bit of knowledge on your audience, and just keep spreading my message.
I love that. I always say that when we speak from the heart, the right message always shows up. And when we speak from the heart, no need for agenda because it's just truth, right? It's just raw experience. And those are the great conversations I like to have here on the show. So, Derek, let's start with the main, pretty much, what is the main challenge that you've seen with a lot of your experience or even personally and also professionally in the work that you do with that gets in the way of, well, I have an audience of entrepreneurs, but people at the end of the day, we're all human, right? And we all have goals and we all like to realize our mission and purpose. I know sometimes it seems like big words around building generational wealth. So what is the main challenge that you've seen that we can talk to today in case somebody resonates with kind of where they are in their journey?
Yeah, and I'll give you just a brief background of how I got to the challenge myself. I'm a real estate investor, and I've been investing in different asset classes for over 20 years. And for the first probably 12 to 13 years of my career, I was like many entrepreneurs. I was only focused on building a big business, bringing in money, and honestly using that as an excuse to jeopardize my personal life, my relationship with my spouse, my kids, because as entrepreneurs, most of us, we get shiny object syndrome. We want to just chase all the opportunities and take our eye off the ball of how does this affect our personal lives. And when it was brought to light for me, as I was part of a mastermind, and we're in this room and everybody's pouring into me and giving me feedback, and they started calling BS on what I was saying, because ultimately I I will, at that time, I would take a phone call any time of the day, any day of the week, and I would say, I'm doing this for my family. I have to take this phone call because it might be a deal that makes me 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000. And in reality, at the same time, I was telling my kids to be quiet, daddy's on the phone, or I was walking away from the dinner table, or, fill in the blank, right? I wasn't doing what I should be doing for my family. I was doing something to my family. And this is when vision was introduced into my life. Figuring out a vision for what you want your personal life to look like first, and then building a business that fits within the amount of time that's left. And that is the exact opposite of what 99% of people and entrepreneurs do, right? You take a normal person that has a job, and they go to their job and they come home, they sit on the couch and watch TV. Uh, they're typically going to have 2 to 3 hours a night where they may spend time with their family. And entrepreneurs, we're worse, because we're going to say we're only going to work 40 hours a week. Most of us all end up working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. And everybody's saying, well, we're doing this because someday we're going to be able to enjoy it. Well, why not enjoy it today? And so I was challenged, and I would challenge your listeners to just take a calendar, a weekly calendar, and do not engineer how it's going to happen or how you're going to come up with the money to make it happen, but map out your perfect day, your perfect week, how it would look. Some examples from my life: I really want to be there when my kids get up to go to school. I want to be at home when my kids get back from school. I want to have time to work out and, read books or study material, listen to podcasts like this. So when I mapped out my week, I really only had about 20 hours a week left to run my business. And only at that point in time do you start to alter uh, the business that you want to serve that personal vision. Does that make sense?
Well, absolutely, Derek. Thank you so for touching on such an important point, which we have all gone through it. And the more we scale and we want to create and grow our, obviously, our brands and our impact and all the things that we do operationally in our day-to-day activities or operational activities, it's such a challenge to kind of, be aware, right? Be intentional with our time because there's always this conflict around our time and money, right? If we want to obviously get back more time, we have to understand how to also build wealth and really have the tool of money so that we can utilize it towards the things that we want to do in life. But there's not enough time, right? Because obviously we always got something going on. And unless you work with priorities in this journey, it's going to eat you alive. And I give you compliments for sharing from your authentic experience how that showed up for you. I know it's showed up for me the same way, especially at the beginning of my business where I would just say yes to everything.
Mhm.
Mainly because obviously I wanted the experience, but also because of the fear of lack, right? I didn't know what I was strong at. I didn't know, I had a lot of not good enough things, internal work, which I talk about often when it comes to purpose that we have to overcome so that we do things for the right reason, right? And we can fill ourselves up with those holes that we feel internally so that we could show up for the people that we love. I love that you mentioned that time with your kids, right? Because we always have even my parents, I heard that every day. It's like, we brought you here because they migrated here from Albania 27 years ago. And I always used to hear the lack of time and quality time. And there's no judgment here. We all make mistakes. But it's always, well, we do this for you so you can have better opportunities, right? And obviously, we're missing a lot of the emotional intimacy and quality time, which is so important for people. So, yeah, I mean, it's all like a cycle, right? So we have to be aware and understand how this thing is actually showing up for us and then make the right intentional, intuitive decisions so that we can move ourselves along the journey and really grasp that vision that you talked about. So, having said that, now based on your experience, I know you're immersed yourself into this personally and professionally also. What are some of the most fundamental pieces that now you teach your clients that you can be so generous with your wisdom to share here on this podcast as well? Some fundamental pillars that they need to know around building generational wealth without having to feel like they're sacrificing their personal time or without having to feel around this conflict all the times between time and money, and how to align both of those. Since we have a new word that's overused now, I understand it's become a little cliche, but kind of just get these things together in harmony, working in harmony so that it's serving us, our visions, our purpose, our missions, and our life at the end of the day. What are some of those fundamentals you've learned that you can share with us?
Well, the fundamental, and I want to speak to something you said, is when you have your vision figured out and it's in writing and you look at it and review it often. By often, I mean daily. Now when you have these other opportunities that are going to take time away from you, you measure it against your vision. Does this opportunity take me closer to or further from my vision? So you're not saying yes to everything. You're able to say no. This is a great money making opportunity. However, it's going to take an extra 20 hours a week, and that does not fit my vision with my life, with my family, with my spiritual health, with my physical health. And those are the pillars, right? Generational wealth is not just financial. It should be spiritual, physical, emotional, all those different things. And I know that if I wanted to work a lot more hours, I could make a lot more money. But what's the point? The point is to enjoy life today because we don't know if tomorrow will ever come. And I have personal friends of mine who have, lost their lives early, who always said, when I retire, I'm going to do all these different things. And for me, on a personal note, last year, I'm 48 years old. I buried 3 classmates last year, all very good friends of mine at at that age. And it definitely makes me look back at my vision and what I'm doing today And that's really the reason I love the topic and I love giving back, because many people just it's too late before they realize it, or they never realize it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a deathbed test, right? Because none of us are guaranteed tomorrow. And even though I'm also very spiritual, and I believe obviously our soul gets into a different dimension, but we leave the physical form, right? But the whole idea of kind of programming, societal programming around kind of save, sacrifice, and then maybe retire one day where you can do all the things that you never got to do in your 40s and 50s or 60s. You never know what could be some of those things that come along your way. So being intentional, living in the present moment. I've also am realizing wherever I am in the decade of physical age that I'm in is the most important part, because time freedom, I realize, is the most important piece that we have. We always get bombarded with societal messages around make more money, save, do sacrifice for now so that later you could do that. But why not start now? So I love that you talked about the vision and the way that you can work backwards with your vision, because it becomes like your compass. When you make important life decisions, you're like, does this actually align with the vision that I already set for myself? And you have that clarity, because clarity is power. Once you have that clarity, then you can make the right decisions that align with you as well. And you can say no and yes to opportunities that align with that. And the power of intention as well, once you have that clear, you start to attract all those opportunities towards you. So you start working smart and not hard, for sure. Derek, I know you touched upon this a little bit already, but what has led you to the work that you do? I have interviewed over 500 guests, and the 80% of when I ask this question, it's always stemmed from some sort of pain in their life. Their purpose kind of is connected to their pain, and a few are, it's because their passion was their passion, and now it has become their purpose. And what has that journey been for you? What were some of the most meaningful moments that led you to this work that you're doing today?
Well, I'm a big believer in being a part of mastermind groups, specifically mastermind groups that are intentional about helping you live your vision. And when I saw what a difference it made in my life, I just want to spread that message. And in going back 5, 6 years, when I did discover this, one of the things, and I would challenge your listeners to consider this, and almost nobody does, because they'll just they won't believe it's possible. But a mentor of mine challenged me to take 30 days off, and I said, there's no way it can happen. I can't afford it. My What will happen with my business, what will happen to all these things. And I'm a control freak, like most entrepreneurs, right? Figuring out how to delegate and offload work is very, very important. But I wrote it in my vision, and my wife and I scheduled we took the entire month of July, and this was about 4 years ago. And we didn't know how it was going to happen, but we scheduled it, and we traveled across the country with our kids in an RV for the entire month. And the first week I was a wreck. The second week I was starting to realize my staff didn't need me micromanaging everything. They were just fine. By the third and fourth week, I changed my entire outlook on what I wanted for the future of my business. And I realized that I didn't have to do all of the busy work that I've been doing, filling all that extra time. I've got capable people on my team that can do it. So very few people will ever take 30 days off. But if you do, it's life changing. It really is. And that's what the Generations of Wealth for me, which is my podcast. That's what it's all about, is talking to different entrepreneurs and having these discussions.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how when we take a break from our purpose and mission, and I know how challenging that is, because it feels like, well, everybody's got their own internal stories, right? But for me, it's always been like I'm abandoning it, or like I can't take a break because I got this or that or that or that, right? It's always, there's always something to do. But when it comes to the gracious moment and just being in the present moment like that, you start to get so many intuitive insights, and you start to connect dots in a different way. Because when you're in the day to day, you're in that mindset, you're in that mode. But when you step back, then you can see the macro, you could see the vision, you could see the things that haven't worked. You could see the things that you can delegate and lead, into leadership towards other people that are complementary, that have those skills and experiences. You can see the way that you can make your decisions more intentionally. So there's so much insight around just being. I talk about being all the time because I also come from, do, overachiever, hustle culture. There's never enough. There's always something else to chase. But when you align with the other side of us, which we're spiritual beings, right? But sometimes we turn into machines of just doing, and then we feel guilty to take the trip like you did, right? That your mentor challenged you with, or other decisions that maybe are coming up, but we don't want to do it because we use our brain. Our brain, is the other enemy that gets in the way. There's always something that we can't leave behind. But I love that you took that chance, and now that's probably where you got your insight around the mission and the work that you're doing today. Thank you so much for describing that and sharing that with us. We've actually reached the end of this interview. We could dive into all of these topics definitely deeper. So I would love to have you maybe come back, and we could just, go deeper into a specific topic around generational wealth. But for the sake of this interview, do you have a final message for our audience that you'd like to leave them with, or something that maybe came up as a intuitive insight around this conversation? And also, we just started a conversation. I'm all about connecting dots and connecting people together in business and humans. So we just started this conversation. Where is it that the audience can at least connect with you and continue the conversation further?
What I would leave your audience with is just consider writing down, to start with, all of your dreams. Don't filter it. Don't try to engineer how it's going to happen, but just start making a list. There is no right or wrong way to write a vision, but it should be in writing. Mine happens to be in story format. So it just says, I wake up in the morning and this is what I do. And I just tell a story about what my day looks like. But do that. Don't engineer how it's going to happen or where you're going to come up with the money. And you will start to find out that money shows up, opportunities show up. And that's, I'm living proof. I never had any intentions of hosting my own masterminds, running a conference that I do, having a podcast, any of that stuff, until I put it into my vision. And these opportunities present themselves very quickly. So with that, I'd love to connect with any of your listeners. You can find me at thegenerationsofwealth.com. That is the parent site for my podcast, but there's other resources there. I've been a part of a couple awesome international best-selling books with some other authors. You can get free downloads of those books there. And yeah, just come join the Generations of Wealth community. Anything I can do to help you, I'd love to do.
All right, Derek, thank you so much for sharing those beautiful resources for our audience and community as well. And thank you for the service and your time today.
Well, thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Well, thank you for listening and always sharing, subscribing, and also leaving us a review. We all know that sharing is caring, and the only way to create impact is to share this information with people that you find it will be helpful. So thank you so much for watching, tuning in. Don't subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. I appreciate your time, and I'll see you next time with another amazing guest and conversation. Bye, everybody. Hello, dear podcast listeners. Thank you so much for supporting the show. And while we're here, I would love to introduce you to a couple of books that I've written and authored, best-selling books, in case that you're looking to add more legacy products into your life to help you scale your purpose and profits. The first book that I've written is called Connecting the Dots Backwards. And in this book, you'll have the clarity to clarify your vision and purpose so that you can do more good in the world. The second piece that is associated, that goes alongside the book, is the Connecting the Vision Backwards journal as well. So this is meant to implement a lot of the learnings from the book so that you can also self-reflect on some of that inner work that is necessary so that you clarify your purpose. The next book that I've written is called Purpose Driven Entrepreneurship. And this holds my framework, my methodology in scaling a company that aligns purpose with profit at the next level. So you'll find a connection of dots between your branding, your marketing, your sales, your systems, and your team so that you can grow a sustainable company that's simplified beyond its owner. The last book that I've written is called Visionary Purpose Driven Leadership. And this book is meant to help you scale up your leadership with your team so that you can build a healthy culture, create a conscious culture, but also, most importantly, build a legacy out of your company. And then the last piece of legacy product that I have created, of course, has stemmed from all my work with clients. And the most important skill that we need as leaders, which is time management, efficiency, and productivity. Focus on Purpose Planner is meant to help you plan your quarters and your year on purpose and on intention so that you're focused and working on the right priorities while freeing up your time and also aligning your purpose and your profit as well. Any of my products can be found right over here, left-hand side, on my website, elonaleparicoaching.com/books. And or you can scan the QSR code right here on the screen to get straight to the links and the books. Happy reading, and thank you